Order at this time. You are at the Buncombe County Board of Adjustment, and I will ask the members to introduce themselves. I'm Jim Lesko, and I'll be chairing this meeting.
Lisa Stevens, Buncombe County.
David Summey, Buncombe County.
Anthony Goodson, Buncombe County.
Peggy Mann, Limestone.
Jim Guido, Beaver Dam.
John Yurko, Weaverville.
You've all received a copy of the June 13th minutes. Are there any corrections? Hearing none, the minutes will stand as submitted. If you're going to testify today, you'll have to be sworn in, so you please come forward. Anyone who is going to speak. Okay, would you put your hand on the Bible, please? You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I swear.
All right. Jillian? Or who's presenting today? John?
All right, the application that we have before us today is made by Architect of WNC on behalf of Hugh Meenan for the owners Mary and Hugh Halpert. The case number is ZPH 2011-00074. The subject property is at 10 Terra Glen Lane, at pin number 9752020430. And the zoning district is R1 residential. The applicant is asking for a reduction of the required 20-foot rear setback to 9 feet. And you can see in the site plan exactly how that plays out.
All right. And who is presenting? What is your name?
I'm sorry, Hugh.
Hugh what?
Yeah.
Okay. You tell us what you want to do.
Well, the property owners are interested in making an improvement at the rear of the property. There is a steep grade from the left side of the house, left corner of the house, to the right corner of the house. Makes the rear of the house property not very useful for any outdoor purposes. So we've designed a deck addition that would close the space from the house to an existing retaining wall on the property. I don't know.
Yes, it is.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. We'd close the space from the house to an existing retaining wall to about the point 40% across the width of the project, and then continue to the edge of the house. The idea is to give, again, the owners an opportunity to make better use of that part of the property. This is something they've been planning for a number of years, and we're not aware of, when we got the project design phase underway, we're not aware of the issues with zoning. So that's why we're here.
All right. Any questions or?
Mr. Lesko, just as a matter of record, we did receive one letter in reference to
Okay.
this. The letter states we would appreciate receiving information about the dimensions of the proposed deck and how close it sits to the property line. That was sent by Cragen and Judith Grace. They're adjacent property owners. Lee DeForth in our office called and spoke to them, and they expressed some concerns about the proximity of the deck to their residence. And we encourage them to contact the applicant and speak to them directly about any buffering issues or anything along those lines. They did state that they were going to try to send someone to the meeting, but that's where the issue was left.
Are they directly behind the house, in the
They are-
property directly behind
they
the house?
They are, yeah.
Okay.
And the if I may, you finish, Josh. The owners in of this property and the owner of the property adjacent at the rear, where the variance is going to affect, they have worked out an agreement whereby the owners of this property will maintain a buffer zone, a green buffer between the edge of the property and this adjoining property owner's property. And I have a letter from the adjoining property owner indicating their willingness to support the granting of the variance based on the agreement that these folks have made.
Mr. Chairman, I think we ought to receive that agreement, enter it in as a part of the documentation of this.
I've got a copy of this. This is a letter addressed to the board, that I'll read it to you, and then we can have copies, I guess, for the board members. This letter is to confirm our support for the setback variance requested by the owners of tax lot, and the PIN number is listed here at 10 Terra Glen Lane, Buncombe County. This support is given as consideration for an agreement that the owners will plant and maintain a green belt privacy barrier of certain specifications between their properties, and it's signed by the owners. The specifications of the green belt barrier, those are also have been committed to paper by the owners of the rear property and agreed to by the owners of this property.
Don't we need all of that?
Yeah, and that, should the board grant that variance, that will be a part of that variance and permit record?
Well, we should make a letter and other information part of the permanent record if you decide you want to make that part of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that's why I'm stating that it would have to be a part of the, should we grant the variance, that will be a part of that variance. So in the future, somebody looks back,
Well, on a variance, no. I mean, I'm sorry, on a variance, I mean, right, I mean, they're not, it's not a conditional use permit application, so on a variance, you're just allowing the variance or not allowing the variance. I don't
Right.
think you can put a
We don't
condition.
get to put conditions.
No.
I mean, that'd be, it sounds like what they're setting up is a private agreement, a contract between the
Yeah.
parties, which they would,
That's the way we
would
see it.
only be enforced between the parties.
oh, okay.
We'll,
The letter and the email, if he provides them to the board, will become part of the exhibits for this hearing, so.
Okay. So the other property holder will know that, and that'll be a part of their
Generated the
private
letter,
agreement.
They have agreed to that.
Okay?
will this be an agreement that's recorded, or is it just something private between you?
He was here, the tall guy.
Yeah.
He just had our signatures and he took it and said, he's not staying.
Okay.
That was the guy, that was the real tall guy. We just signed
Oh,
the agreement.
Only thing I was thinking about is third parties. If you sell the house next year,
Right.
what's to protect him from third parties that come in there and say, well, I'm gonna cut all this down?
He, I don't know, I'm allowed to speak. I can't speak.
You can speak, but we need
Right.
to you in.
The owners of this property and the owners of the rear property understand the agreement to be between them, and there hasn't been
But not the properties.
not the properties between
Right.
them as owners.
Okay.
But we're granting a variance to allow a deck, if we do grant it, that would be built in a non-compliance
That's correct.
way that will, 2, 3 years from now, might be dealing with third parties that are not even here. And
That's correct.
Can it be
Yeah.
can it be a reduction in size of the deck?
Not for any practical use, no.
Right.
It's at the closest point to the property line, currently the deck is it's not terribly deep now. So it
It's
would
only
be,
6 feet.
it would be impractical to do that.
Yeah.
what, Michael, you might could answer this. What's the repercussions of something like this 5 years down the road if people complain that this deck's built?
I have no idea. I mean, I didn't see the contract that the tall guy brought or what the owner signed, so no telling.
But would be safe to say, if we make a variance, any new owners who came onto the scene would have no recourse because we already granted a variance. They can't
Don't know
revisit
that-
the issue.
Don't know that, because we don't know whether or not they wrote the contract such that it's binding on the successors and assigns.
Okay, let's forget the contract, okay? If we grant a variance with all the information in front of us, okay, then it's done. And I wouldn't think someone would have recourse and say, I'm a new owner. I don't like the fact that this is within 3 feet, 18, 10 feet of my home. It's not according to code. And the people would say, well, we got a variance for it. Wouldn't that be just a dead, we couldn't, if we.
Oh, you're granting a variance. I mean, you're granting a variance.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So it can't be revisited.
I guess the issue
Not
is.
unless they alter
is
the
it- is-
deck
Right,
at some point.
right.
It's an unconditional variance. We can't put additional strictures on
No.
it, is what you're saying.
It's
Okay,
a-
so we
it's-
all understand.
It's binary,
Yeah,
on or
yeah,
off.
owner.
And it'll be binding on the next party?
Yes.
Okay. That's my question.
Okay.
One more question. I'm not trying to stir the pot, but
That's all right.
what about setbacks in the subdivision? Do they have any setbacks that affect this?
Not that we're aware of, no. No, the house actually was built within the now current required setback.
Okay.
The county imposed after the house was built. I don't know how old the house is. It's 20 years old or so. But it was built before the current statute was in effect. At the time it was built, it was within the 20 feet of the rear of the property.
Right. Any
You
other?
want, you want to
Go ahead.
build beyond that 20 feet. What you're asking is to be able to build this deck into that 20 feet setback that
Yes.
currently exists.
I was just, as a matter of fact, the house itself, where the deck will project from, the house itself is within the 20 feet.
The house already imposes into the existing 20-foot setback
Yeah, that was just a matter of fact.
by
that's all.
5 feet.
All right. Any other comments or questions?
Yeah.
If not, I'm going to close the public hearing at this time. Okay. And Mr. Meehan?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Yes.
There's
Well,
a-
ask the question.
You
Yeah.
need to ask if there's any public comment, because I do notice there's someone out there.
Okay.
Oh, is there any other public comment? I think I asked that before, if anybody was going to.
Also, you didn't ask the question if everything is.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
I'm getting-
Okay.
We're working.
Do you want to ask the question?
It's on the worksheet.
Is that on the worksheet? Okay.
Just let me get to it.
I'm
You guys
sorry.
are trying to move too fast here. Okay, Mr. Meehan, is the information you have provided to the board true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and ability?
Yes, sir.
That should be belief.
What's
Best
that?
of your knowledge and belief.
Knowledge and belief, yes.
Okay? Knowledge and belief. I'm just following the script, sir.
Okay.
All right. Board members, I would entertain a motion.
Well, I'd like to do a little discussion first.
Okay.
And I guess my concern with this is that we're doing a variance, and I don't see hardship at all. I'm not seeing, I could see a possible hardship for a new owner of a place who comes in and the house next to it doesn't have, isn't following the guidelines of the neighborhood. So if there's any hardship I see, it could be in the future. What is being asked for is something, it's a wish, it's a desire, it's something, it's not an essential, it is kind of an addition.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not I personally have a hard time giving a variance based on someone's desires or wishes. I could entertain counter movements that I could be actually convinced, but my training on this is that a variance is usually basically on a hardship.
It appears that there's more dimension between the house and the property line the further this way you go.
Mm-hmm.
So is there some deck that could be built here and connected here with less encroachment that would be functional? If the deck were, if the bulk of the deck were here?
Well, that would be up to the owners of the property to decide whether that was functional.
Where's the
Certainly
door
they
to the
don't.
deck?
It's
I was
about there where
wondering.
you're pointing.
About right there?
About
And there's
there.
no door to the deck here?
No.
Really?
No.
There's a window there, but there's no door?
There's no doorway there. But if we were to make that a change to the design, we would still require a variance
Yeah.
in order to make the addition.
Similar because this one is you're asking basically over half, from 20 feet to 9 feet. Would it be similar if it was done the other way that he's proposing?
Well, if you look at the right corner of the project, that right corner projects about 3 feet from the deepest part of the rear of the house.
Uh-huh.
And so we would have to come outside of the deepest part of the house, which would be right here,
Right.
in order to have a walkway that comes across here.
Right.
And it would still leave us with a similar encroachment.
Similar encroachment, and the design of it would take away a lot of the, I guess, being right next to the door. It's a nice little area for,
Yeah.
leisure and that type of thing.
Well, and it would eliminate at least some of the
Interject just
functional.
for a second, John,
Sure.
if you could, we can't tell what you all are pointing at
Oh.
or saying at this point. If you could just identify that for the record, where you're pointing to on that drawing.
Someone want to say?
Well, should I point this at a camera or something?
Well, just show us, we can just
Okay.
identify it. by-
All right, we were discussing the fact that it's this half of the deck that is closest to the property line. So if the bulk of the deck were over here and could be
Near the side that says 6 feet.
near the side
It says
size
17 feet.
that says 14
Right.
feet,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the other side.
that the encroachment would be less, or could be
Right.
less. If there was a redesign that could solve this problem. That's what we're asking. In particular, I asked, where is the door that accesses the deck? And they pointed to the
Right towards that.
right side of the house, if you look at the page,
Which is the side where the deck is 6 feet wide proposed.
which
Correct.
is the side that
Yes.
has the most encroachment, yes.
Okay.
Correct. That's
And I'm
correct.
assuming that I'm assuming this house was built before the county zoning was in effect, but that scale-wise, this corner of the house, the right back corner of the house, is less than 20 feet from the property line, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, so already the house is closer than the setback allows, but that was grandfathered in.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of moved that it is grandfathered in, and the thing that I'm bothered about is that this agreement for the screening is not going to go on beyond one iteration of the people that are living there now. That the deck isn't going to bother it, it's an enhancement, right?
Right.
Only the owners can see it, the neighbors can't. And I move to say that it should be allowed because of that, because we have the latitude. But, as time, the ordinance wasn't there when this house was built. But to me, it seems the right thing to do. But I am bothered with that one thing, that if the present owners sell, then that agreement's out. As someone said, somebody can come and chop that ground cover down, or
Can we,
the trees, and then,
can I ask a question? I know I didn't swear in.
no,
Here's the swearing.
Can I?
Michael,
You have
can,
to swear in.
we have closed the
We've closed
public
the meeting.
hearing. Can the owner comment now
You can
or
answer a
not?
question.
If we direct a
reopen the
question
Public
in.
hearing
All right.
and swear them in.
I will reopen the public hearing, and
Swear 'em in.
But let me interject just one motion. I just want to make it clear, the chairman, did you make a motion that you would want to approve it, or that?
no,
you
no,
would be-
no, I was just
Okay.
commenting.
Okay,
I
I just
was
want to make
not-
sure
I
that
was-
there's,
Yeah,
can't make another
yeah,
motion.
yeah, well,
Okay.
I was not making a motion. Okay, you
Excuse me.
solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay.
Okay. I know they're gonna put the thing we signed with their deed. Is that something that we could just do and put with our deed and
Solve the board's
and
concern.
solve the board's concern that if we do sell the house, we would make that part of our agreement to the owners that has to stay there?
That,
Would that solve that
I
issue?
believe, Michael, if they make that as a part of their deed restrictions, both parties, can we then carry on?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
He is saying that he believes that if they make that a part of their deed restrictions, both parties, so that will carry on in perpetuity, that barrier has to be there.
It would not be a deed restriction, because that's a
Right.
subdivision document. It would be
Well,
a,
whatever
yeah,
the
that's
term,
different.
what's the legal terminology?
Well,
you can't put
we're mixing our apples and oranges.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of
Do
things
that.
they could do to sort of appease the difficulties that this board appears to be having in consideration. But remember, when you're looking at a variance, you're looking at 3 factors, which
Right.
are always at the end there. Is there practical difficulties or necessary hardship?
Yes, sir.
Has he complied with the provisions of the article, et cetera? And is the variance the minimum necessary to afford relief? What contracts the parties may have with each other is not a factor. It
Right.
might have some bearing on where you might be swayed, but it's not a finding.
Right.
It's not a necessary part of the consideration.
I'm going to say one other thing. The property owner, he owns, it's 18 acres back there. Most of it is woods, and he has a house and a barn already way back, built already on his property.
Yeah.
So he's, I think, 800 feet away
Right.
from us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remind me on that letter, too, did he object to the deck unless there was this buffer? Or was he saying, I'd like to see the buffer?
Well, his letter states, I can't speak for what his
Intention.
he was thinking, but I'll read again what it says. The letter, this letter is to confirm our support for the setback variance requested by Hugh and Mary, and the support is given as consideration for an agreement that the owners will plant and maintain a greenbelt privacy barrier of certain specifications between the properties.
See,
I will also say, I did speak to him, and I swore it in, that he thought it would be a great addition to the house.
And to the chairman's point, and this information was included in the application too, that the improvement on Mary and Hugh's house is not visible from this man's property unless
Right.
he's standing on his property line. It's, so it's, and then to the, I guess is it Mr. Guido?
Yes.
That would be you. The owner's view of the hardship involved here is the utility of this rear space in their house, that without a variance, they can't make use of that rear space. The front, there's not a practical way to do this on the side of the house, at the front of the house, or the other side of the house, and this space is unused otherwise. And so in their point of view, it's, there is some hardship here, having to comply with the statute.
Other questions, comments?
Did you say the property sloped away from the deck?
Slopes along this parallel to the house, from this corner to that corner, there's about a 25% slope.
Oh, okay.
And so without a deck, to make that space useful, it would have to be terraced, and that would be more expensive. And
Where's the retaining wall?
if you're looking at the drawing, Lisa, it actually starts around the front of the house.
Is that the columns here in the drawing?
Yeah, that part of the deck is actually right along the retaining wall.
Yeah. We're not going past the retaining wall, and there's
Right.
the
And this-
pathway, then the fence, then his property on the other side of that.
Yeah, and that retaining wall.
So
Ms.
the
Stevens-
retaining wall matches this
Yes.
curve?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And that, Ms. Stevens, that continues around the front of the house as well, that same retaining wall.
I guess my point is, nobody's going to be wanting to build another house behind this deck.
Well, that's,
we don't know that.
That's what I'm asking. What's the terrain? Does it drop off?
oh, it's
It's pretty
hills.
steep. It's
Yeah.
pretty steep. Right now, it's a single piece of property, and there's a residence on the property.
Yeah.
That's several hundred feet away.
It's,
Well, I don't think your request is unreasonable at all. And I think we've got two neighbors here that are willing, I mean, it's not like the neighbor is complaining.
no, he really told me, he said he
And,
thought it'd be a great addition.
The survey shows something back there. Is that, what is that?
Looks like it was proposed and never done.
It was proposed,
Because
never
it's still
done.
one
But
parcel
could be,
right now.
right?
To our understanding, it's not subdividable.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a proposal that was not practical.
It's 18 acres.
Platted. It says, I mean, it says plat, it's got
Yeah.
it's hard to read, but it says plat book 40. So
Someone
it's
thought it was-
been subdivided.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the details on that. It was a comment from our property owners here. Their understanding was it was,
Where is this in North Buncombe?
It's in North Buncombe, and he is actually in Weaverville. I
But
believe.
where are we? Tell me where this is.
Greens Creek area?
Creek.
Off
Oh,
Long's
yeah,
Chapel,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Long's,
Long's Chapel.
Road.
Yeah. Like I said, he has, as far as I can tell, 18 acres. He's got a house, I think it's 800 feet or something, or I don't even know how far, way up with a barn. We can't see his house at all during the summer because of all the trees that are all over the place.
All right. Further comment or question? Okay, I'm again to reclose the public hearing here. Further discussion? Comments?
I'm still where I'm at.
I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
All right. You want to follow that script right there?
Sure.
Says motion to adopt finding of fact.
I move that this board adopt the following findings of fact. The applicant, Architect of WNC, has applied for a variance for Henry and Hugh Halpert, who own the property at 10 Terraglen Lane on PN 9752-020430. Said property is within the zoning jurisdiction of Buncombe County and is zoned R1 Single Family Residential. The applicant is requesting
David, you can just move to approve 1 through
Okay.
say as written. And that way you don't have to read them all.
Okay, I move to approve 1 through 5,
6A.
1 through 6A. What else? As submitted.
Just a point of correction, the property owners are actually Mary and Hugh Halbert.
Right.
Okay.
So recognized. Is there a second to that motion?
There already was.
That's correct.
Was? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Okay. Okay, all in favor? Or I should ask, is there any further discussion? All in favor signify by raising your hand. Okay. Let the record show that there were 6 for,
6-1.
1 against. Okay, now we need a motion to approve or deny the variance.
A motion to approve.
Second it.
Okay, there's been a motion to approve and second the approval of the variance. All in favor, show by raising your hand. Okay. Opposed? Okay, let the record show 6-1 vote. All right. Done. Go build your
That you
deck.
waited.
Approved? Okay, I want to thank everybody.
It was a wise
Thank you.
decision to wait.
Thank you.
Very wise. Okay, meeting adjourned.